How traveling to Kenya changed my life. Now, this journey started in January 2021, but let's get to the origin of my international travels and why Kenya was a major destination in my life. So, I've been all over the States when it comes to travel, and I wasn't able to get my passport, or at least I thought I wasn't able to. There was a fire burning inside me to travel abroad, and I got my passport in the winter of 2020. I drove from Columbus, Ohio to Detroit, Michigan for the expedited passport. That day, I knew my life would change forever. My first international location that I visited was Toronto, Canada. I drove from Columbus, Ohio, straight to the 6. Once I saw those Canadian flags and I got past that sketchy border patrol, my eyes opened wide when I realized I was in a completely different country. It's a feeling you couldn't explain. From the authentic Jamaican cuisine, beautiful Guyanese Canadian women, shout out to Mama Reese, and attending a Raptors game in Canada. I mean, the feeling is legendary. Now, from Canada, I went to Mexico, which is a huge country. From Cancun to Mexico City. Now my mind is really turning, saying, Jackson, look at how much you haven't seen, and it's so much more that you need to discover. So after I explored all 3 countries in North America, I said, Jackson, you're the son of Jackson Henry Cooper. My dad is the most pro-black person that I've ever met in my life. You have to go to Africa. So I did my research and I came up with Kenya as the first country I would visit in the motherland. To say I was excited is a huge understatement. I don't think I've been more excited to visit a country, and I've been to 23 so far in my journey. That day, I was literally all smiles from packing all the way to the airport. Once I landed, I had that feeling like, Jackson, you made it. You went to Africa. See, where I'm from, people don't go to Africa. Heck, they don't even leave their state, sometimes their city. So I truly felt a sense of accomplishment and was ready to embark on this journey. Now, my first full day in Nairobi was such an eye-opener. I still remember it years later. This is where the woman I love, Miss Wangeshi, aka Wan Wan, enters the story. So the vibe with me and Wangeshi was there as soon as we met. So I would say it helps tremendously to have someone on the ground who you rock with and most importantly has your back. First stop, we head to Maasai Market. This is a hustling, bustling market in CBD Nairobi. Now, I think from the Kenyan shirt, they knew I was a tourist, but honestly, I didn't care. To be around so many black people at one time was truly amazing. And I saw the cutest baby I've ever seen in my life up until this day. Of course, I bought some souvenirs, and then we had to get my first meal in Kenya. We go to a restaurant called Kilimanjaro. Now, this is a popular restaurant in Nairobi, and it was a good choice. But like a typical American that I am, what did I get? Burgers and fries. That's why Kenya changed my life, because my palate has completely changed since then. No Kenya trip is complete without a safari, correct? Me and Wangeshi set up a safari at Nairobi National Park, the only park in the world that's inside of major city limits. I remember we had to wake up very early for this tour, and it didn't matter. The energy that I had was through the roof. I was literally high off of life, and it felt amazing. So we get the 4x4, authentic off-road, and head to the park. Once in Nairobi National Park, you get the feeling like I'm really here. I'm really in Africa. I saw buffalo, zebras, crocs, exotic birds, and a mother rhino with her young. That moment right there was when I took it in and said, Jackson, this is not normal. You are taking risk, and look what's coming from it. Unfortunately, we didn't see any lions, but it's okay. because Simba and Nyla were there. The safari was something I will never forget for the rest of my life. Now, for the men, Kenya has very beautiful women. In my opinion, the bigger the forehead, the better. Just come prepared to experience the beauty. I can't come to Kenya and not get street food. Miss Wangeshi took me to try so many dishes, from sweet bananas, smokies, samosas, and my favorite, chapati for my bati. This part of my first trip really showed me the culture of the people just out and about. I was feeling the vibe and literally felt like this is a place I want to be more often. Before my trip, I did my research and I saw Kenya had a coast, so you know we had to hit that up. I was super excited to be visiting the coast of Africa. Listen, I'm a man from Ohio, headed to the shores off of Kenya. You can't make this up. As usual, we were late. This was my first time experiencing this, but not the last. Thanks, Wangeshi. But we made the flight. I'm not gonna lie, the plane was like a cargo plane with seats and no air. It was hot as all get out, but when you travel, it's experience like this that you truly appreciate. Finally, we make it to beautiful Diani Beach, Kenya. The weather was very tropical, sunshine, and beautiful Kenyan people. You can't beat it. After a little hiccup with the initial Airbnb, me and Wangeshi had to get some breakfast and order the entire menu for our inconvenience. I felt like a king eating all those courses and watching the talented street performers do their thing as we indulge. This is the definition of living life. Now, this is where the real fun begins. We check into our room at the resort in Diani. I mean, I'm walking with my East African beauty, seeing monkeys, talking Swahili. This was when I knew it's about to get real. We get changed and hit the beach. I mean, it was and still is the most beautiful beach I've ever been on in all my travels. Blue waters, soft sand, and it's off the coast of Africa. Now, me and Wangeshi were living it up dancing, but it was that day we had our first argument, and strangely enough, it brought us closer together. I promise it was something about this trip that made me look at life completely different. After a nice relaxing day at the beach, we had to get some authentic Swahili food in the jungle. Yes, people, the jungle. I felt very cultured. The food was amazing, and it ended what was an amazing day that I would never forget. Now, the next day in Diani, we do what I've dreamt of. Rode camels in Africa. Listen, when I say legendary, I mean legendary. Salute to Dashi. That was my camel. Now picture this. At this moment, when I had the Indian Ocean to the left of me, beautiful palm trees on my right, and my East African queen up front, I had a real life epiphany. I said, Jackson, you can't go back to living a regular life. It was too beautiful. I want every man, every person to experience this feeling because I know I was meant to be exactly where I was at that moment and specific time. I try coconuts straight from the tree, interact with amazing local people, and walk into the sea, discovering animals I didn't even learn about in public schools. Travel is the real teacher in this world. Now, back to Nairobi it is, and I'm feeding giraffes, having dinner at Nairobi Club, experiencing a different happiness that I wasn't feeling in the States. I'm not gonna lie. Leaving Nairobi that first time was very sad, yet a joyful moment. I knew that I had gained relationships and memories I will keep forever, but I also knew this wasn't the end. Fast forward a few months and I'm back in Nairobi, Kenya. I knew I was going to be back. That's just having faith in oneself. This go around, I move around more and get in tune with the people who've seen my content on my first trip. I'm doing podcasts, going to Kibera, the largest slum in Africa, and interacting with people I would have never met if I didn't take that risk. I mean, the wonderful people even made me a cake. As a man, the only thing I truly need in this life is respect, and I was getting that in Kenya. A family invited to cook for me, mother and a daughter combination. That experience showed me the pride people took in wanting to teach their culture, and I was ready to learn. I had some of the best food from the mother because it was cooked with love, and I remember the quote she kept saying, time and money. Amazing memories. Let's head to Eastleigh, Nairobi, a fast paced city where you have to keep your head on the swivel because it's so busy. I was invited here by a gentleman who saw my channel and wanted to show me the side of Nairobi I've never seen, and I'm glad he did. I was given the Muslim garb to wear, was taught a lot about the heavy Somali culture that is ingrained into this city within Nairobi, ate some amazing food that was shared on a platter. Now, one thing about me, I didn't grow up having to share being an only child, but this is why coming to Kenya expanded my mind into how other cultures are very communal and sharing is a way of life. I even went to a mosque and prayed with the people. This kind of thing would have never happened if I just stayed in Ohio and said, Jackson, this is all life has to offer. I'm still meeting beautiful people, living life, but I always have to conduct business when I travel. So I reach out to Artistic Hair Transplant Center for a hair transplant consultation. From that first meeting, Dr. Babu pretty much sold me on getting the procedure there because he actually cared about the outcome and understood to a T Afro hair. Now, I originally planned on going to Turkey for this procedure, but I'm very grateful I didn't because Artistic specializes in Afro textured hair. I mean, wouldn't you want to go get your hair worked on by people who have your same hair type and actually care about results? So I went for my first hair transplant and the real lion had to come out. I endured the pain and faced the fears, and I don't regret it one bit. I've had two more procedures since then, but I've gained hair in Kenya. I don't know about most people, but having your hair back is a huge confidence builder when you're going out to face the world every day. Straight after my first procedure, I head to Lamu, Kenya. This is a city off the coast of Kenya. Very few to zero cars and very different than what I'm used to. From arrival at the airport, there was a gentleman with my name on a sign welcoming me. We head straight to a speedboat into the coastal city, and the feeling was legendary. I can't stress enough how stepping out of your comfort zone is one of the best things you can do. Lamu was an experience to say the least. This is where I tried authentic Swahili food for the first time, and it was very good. My taste buds had to adjust, but it was worth it. Now, I'm not gonna lie, there was an ice cream man that had some of the best ice cream cones I've ever tasted. I believe they were the equivalent of 25 cents per cone. I promise there was some sort of narcotic in there, because those things will get you hooked. I explored everything from how the people lived in Lamu. Donkeys were in heavy use because of how many were on the island, and the street foods were amazing. Popcorn, corn, meats, breads. I would highly suggest if you come to Nairobi or anywhere in Kenya, you visit Lamu. You will experience a different culture that you won't experience anywhere else. A year passes and I find myself back in Kenya for another hair transplant. But while I was out there, I had to hit the coast again. This time I go to Watamu, a beautiful coastal town that is literally just straight vibrations. The Airbnb I stayed in was like an oasis within the town. Lush greenery, nice blue pool, and an open space that just felt international. There is a heavy Italian influence on the coast due to the colonization from the Italians, so I had to try the pizza. It was okay, but the closest thing to an Italian pizza since I haven't been to Italy just yet. Once again, the beauty of the Kenyan women cannot go unmentioned. Every shade, and Miss Scovian was the definition of black don't crack. When I first met her, I told her she should be a model because of her height and her look. See, in this life, I believe we're supposed to meet and interact with people because you never know who you may influence or who'll influence you. On this trip to Watamu, I learned a lot, but one major thing was I don't mess with monkeys. Yikes. After some more international globetrotting, I find myself back in Nairobi. This time was a very unique experience, and I'll tell you why. I started to open myself up more to meeting different people. See, the more people you interact with, the more you open up to the world, and the more the world can come in to learn about you. I've grown in these past 3 to 4 years, for the better. Also, me and Wangeshi grew a stronger bond than we already had. Traveling to Mombasa, Kenya for our birthday on New Year's was a legendary moment, and it was my first time being out the country for my birthday, and I don't think it's a coincidence that it happened in Kenya. I've learned that home isn't necessarily where you are born. Home is where you're appreciated, you feel welcomed, you create friendships that will last a lifetime. You open up and become a better person, learning from the people you would have never met. Listen, from what I know, there is only one life, so I'm going to live it no matter what. I've had so many people say I've inspired them to travel, and more specifically, come to Kenya. It's truly a gem that I've yet to fully explore. But in closing, continue to support the journey here on Coop's Corner, because it's truly inspiring people from all over. And as always, live life.
This view, guys, man, how could you not miss this? Bittersweet, one of my most bittersweet endings to a vacation, man. Like, this has been a little more than a vacation. Like, I felt like I've learned myself. I've experienced a different culture. It was very eye-opening, man. Very dope. So I might end the video here, guys. Appreciate you for watching it. Thank you for coming along with me on this crazy journey. I don't know how this video ended up, but I'm happy you ended up watching it. And I hope this video motivates you to see whatever it is you want to see in this world. Because best believe, the world is yours. You can have anything you want in it. All right, guys, until next time, stay blessed. Peace.